Hey, Mike with Nerd Problems Gaming here, and today's video will be talking about an epic new Nintendo Switch eShop sale and 15 new games worth buying, so let's get into it. Alright, so the first game on the list is Disgaea 6, Defiance of Destiny. I've been playing a ton of this game lately. It's super addicting and a lot of fun, and in the game you play as Zed, a netherworld zombie that's on a quest to destroy the god of destruction. And so you'll go on a new quirky adventure, meeting a bunch of different interesting characters along the way that will join your team in your quest to defeat the god of destruction. And so this is a tactical RPG, but it has a lot of unique elements that I don't see a lot of other tactical RPGs incorporate. And so one big factor with the game is that you can reincarnate your characters, which basically means you can reset them to level 1 whenever you want. And when you do that, you'll take a portion of your skills that you developed and be able to power up your character even further and continue to level up. Another thing is that the game has a level cap of 9,999, which is a lot higher than your typical RPG, but you also do level up incredibly fast with your characters. So you'll definitely be constantly powering up and leveling up your characters every battle. Another cool thing about the game is you can almost play the game infinitely, in the sense that there's so many different things that you can level up and improve with your team and characters. Not only do your characters have levels, but so do the items that you find around the world, and you can even go into an item world to power up your different items that you equip in the game. So each one of those can be leveled up. There's different rarity levels with those items, so some can be leveled up more than others. Characters can reincarnate into different classes to learn even more abilities. Your abilities and skills can level up as well, and so needless to say, the game is super addicting. But another really cool feature that I like about the game is the robust AI feature. And so there's a demonic intelligence system where you can program your characters and their actions when you put auto battle on. So this is a cool way to get past some of the grindy elements of the game and really streamline your battles, but it is very high level. So you can adjust all kinds of settings in this AI system. You can break down how you want to target enemies. You can do things like in certain situations, if your health is below this percent, you want to heal your character. If there's a chest present on the stage, you want to move to that first and get that chest before attacking enemies, and so much more. And so it's a really cool system, and I think it's a great addition to the game. So if you're looking for a new tactical RPG, I definitely recommend Disgaea 6, Defiance of Destiny. Alright, so the next game on the list isn't technically out yet, but it is on sale as a pre-order, and that's Dead Cells Return to Castlevania. Now, if you're not familiar with Dead Cells yet, it's one of my favorite roguelike Metroidvania games, and really was one of the first games in that whole genre. And so it's super addicting. You play as a soldier that will continually die as he's trying to escape from prison and take on the evil king. And along the way, you'll power up your character, you'll get dead cells to increase your abilities, you'll find tons of different weapons along the way that can help you progress further. And the gameplay, again, is that action platforming Metroidvania style gameplay with the roguelike elements. And so you'll get the base game in this pre-order bundle, but also the upcoming DLC, Return to Castlevania. And so if you're not familiar with this genre at all, Castlevania is really one of the foundation games that the whole Metroidvania genre is based on. And it's been a long time since they've had a true Castlevania game. And so while this isn't a true Castlevania game, you get to revisit and take on a lot of the same bosses from the series. You get to play alongside of classic characters like Richter Belmont and Alucard, trying to take down Dracula. You'll be able to use a lot of the iconic weapons, like the boomerangs, the axes, the knives, and more. Plus it features some of the best songs from the Castlevania series, which in my opinion is definitely some of the best music in video games ever. There's new Castlevania outfits, new bosses, new levels, and much more. So if you like action platformers, roguelike games, and Metroidvania style gameplay, this is definitely going to be one worth picking up. Alright, the next game on the list is Rogue Heroes. And so this is a roguelike dungeon crawler that's certainly inspired by classic games like The Legend of Zelda from the Super Nintendo era and Game Boy Advance era, where it's that bird's eye view dungeon crawling style gameplay. And the general story of the game is that evil titans have been sealed away in 4 major dungeons across the world, but the seals are weakening and the titans are threatening the world, and so you play as a hero that goes on a quest to take out these titans and save the world. Another cool feature with the game is that it has local co-op, so you can team up with your friends to take on these dungeons, and your characters will level up and get more powerful along the way. And so as I mentioned, you'll go through these dungeons, find different items like bombs, bow and arrows, and hook shots, and more to explore the dungeon and solve the puzzles. But they are roguelike, so it's a new experience every time you go through. And as you progress, you'll also be able to build out your town, which will unlock different shops and areas that you can upgrade your characters and make them more powerful, so you can get through the dungeons and progress throughout the game. So if you want to check out a fun roguelike dungeon crawler, this could definitely be worth picking up. Alright, the next game on the list is Dungeon Top. And so this is a unique concept. It combines several genres into one, and so it's a roguelike deck building dungeon crawler. And so if you're not familiar with what deck builders are, they're one of my favorite board game types, but how it works, you start with a base deck of cards, and then as you progress throughout the game, you'll upgrade these cards or acquire new cards that make your deck more powerful. And so as your deck gets more powerful, it will give you the ability to take on more challenging battles and progress further throughout the game. And so as I mentioned, this is a unique concept where it takes dungeon crawling and combines it with this deck building mechanic. So when you start out the game, you'll choose from several different heroes that you can pick from, each with their own unique deck and play style. And so you'll go through the dungeons trying to get as far as you can with these different characters and powering them up along the way. So you'll level up your heroes as you go, acquire new weapons, and there's a variety of skills that you'll acquire as well that you'll need to master if you hope to get through the dungeons. And then when you encounter enemies, it also combines tactical combat with the deck of cards that you're using. So if you're looking for a new twist on a dungeon crawler, this one could be worth checking out as well. Alright, the next game on the list is Souldiers. And so Souldiers is a Souls-like Metroidvania game, and the first thing that will really jump out at you is the amazing pixel art throughout the game. And so you play as soldiers that are taken to a realm called Disgaea. That's a world that's kind of on the edge of the real world and the afterlife, sort of like a purgatory. And so you'll go through these challenging worlds trying to defeat the Guardian to cross over into the afterlife. The crazy thing is though that your characters aren't actually dead, so it's kind of a unique story with lots of twists and turns that will keep you guessing. But really where the gameplay shines is its Metroidvania action platforming. Now when you start the game, you have several characters you can choose from, so things like a spellcaster, an archer, or more of a soldier type character, each with their own unique skills and abilities, and totally different play style. Now once you choose a character, you're locked into that character for the game, but you'll progress with different skill trees throughout it, learning new abilities as you explore this massive world. Now the game is really long, you're probably looking around 40 hours plus, and the gameplay can be quite difficult as well. When it first came out, a lot of people complained about that it was way too hard, but since it's come out, they've added some new accessibility options and difficulty settings, so it might be a little bit easier now at this point to get into it, but again, it is that Souls-like experience, so it can be very challenging as you play the game. Also, since you do have those 3 characters to play as, and you can't switch between them throughout the game, I think it can add some extra replay value, as you'll probably want to play through the game with each one of the characters to get that unique experience. But if you like challenging action platforming games with tons of RPG elements, you might want to add this one to your nerd library. Alright, the next game on today's list is Godstrike. So Godstrike is a roguelike bullet hell twin stick shooter boss rush game, and so there's a ton of different modes to the game. There's a story mode, there's a challenge mode, a boss rush mode, and leaderboards. And the game also features the unique mechanic where instead of having a life bar, you just have a time bar. And if you run out of time, you lose. But on top of that, you'll acquire different skills throughout the game that you can equip to your character to make you stronger. But a lot of them will sacrifice additional time, so you really need to have that fine balance of powering up your character, but having enough time to defeat the bosses. The gameplay is certainly challenging, but if you are struggling, you can eventually unlock an easy mode. But if you like challenging bullet hells and twin stick shooters, this could be one worth picking up. Alright, the next game on today's list is Cursed to Golf. And this is a unique golf game where you play as a golfer that was trying to win a tournament, but as they're playing, a storm rolls in, and you refuse to quit, but end up getting struck by lightning and dying, and getting sent to this purgatory-like golf world. And so your only hope to escape this purgatory and return to the living world is to complete a challenging golf course and hope to make it out alive. And so it is a rogue-like experience where you'll progress through different courses and have different options to choose which way you go. And you'll go as far as you can, but if you die, you get sent back to the very beginning and have to start over at hole 1. And now it isn't just a straight up golf game where you'll need to shoot your ball throughout challenging courses and use all kinds of crazy abilities to make it through to the next hole. Now each hole will have a par value, and you'll need to complete the hole within that many shots, otherwise you die and go back to the beginning. And so it is a roguelike experience where the holes will randomize in a sorts and be totally different every time you go through. And so the game can get incredibly addicting as you play through the holes, always trying to play one more and get past that next challenge. You'll also unlock different cards that you can power up your golfer along the way to help you get through these challenging courses. But if you're looking for a unique twist on the golf genre, I'd recommend checking this one out as well. Alright, the next game on the list is Monster Sanctuary. And so this is a unique concept that feels like it combines Pokemon and Metroidvania games. And so you'll play as a monster tamer in a world that's overrun by monsters, but for the most part, these monsters are all peaceful, but some new monsters have came to your area and are wreaking havoc, and so you go on a quest to stop these rampaging monsters and save your village. And so in the game, you'll start with a starter monster, and so you'll be able to choose from things like a wolf, an eagle, a toad, or a lion, and each one of these characters has their own unique abilities and skill sets, both inside and outside of battle. And so the monsters that you'll acquire will work sort of like the power-ups in Metroidvania games, but then as I mentioned, it's sort of like Pokemon as well. So you'll try and catch these monsters, evolve them, but then you'll also battle other monsters throughout the world. And so you'll have that action platforming Metroid style gameplay, but as you encounter monsters along the way, it'll turn into a turn-based battle similar to Pokemon, but it's a 3-on-3 battle. And so you'll need to combine your monster's powers to activate combos and take on these enemies. But it is a really cool, unique story and twist on the Metroidvania genre. So if you like games like Pokemon or monster collecting and action platforming with some puzzle elements, I think this one was worth picking up. Alright, so the next game on the list is Double Kick Heroes. And so this is another unique mashup of genres where it's a rhythm game meets zombie apocalypse game. And so zombies have taken over the world and you're playing as a band of heroes that's trying to survive. And so you'll fight off waves of zombies and crazy monsters while driving your getaway car away from them. And so the music style is all hard rock, and when you match the rhythm of the song with the correct button presses, you'll actually use your different weapons against the zombies that are chasing after you. So you have machine guns, shotguns, grenades that you're throwing out, and much more. But on top of that, you'll have to manage pressing the buttons within the rhythm, but you also have the option of driving your car to aim at the different oncoming zombies that are trying to kill you. So you'll fight off waves and waves of enemies, but also challenging bosses, all while trying to match the rhythm of the music throughout the game. There's different modes to the game as well, so there's a story mode, an arcade mode, an endless mode, and much more. You'll have different skills you can upgrade along the way, a map you can choose from different stages, and much more. So if you're looking for a unique rhythm game set in the zombie apocalypse, I'd recommend it. Alright, the next game on today's list is Bladed Fury. And so this game is a 2D action hack and slash where you play as a princess that's been framed for her father's death, and you go on a game of revenge to clear your name. So as I mentioned, it's sort of like a 2D action hack and slash where you'll have different options of weapons to choose from. One is more of like a heavy attack, another is a quick attack. You'll be able to jump and dodge around the screen. And depending on what enemies are on screen, you'll need to switch between your weapon types if you hope to defeat them. Along the way, you'll upgrade your skills and become more powerful. And as you defeat bosses, you'll be able to summon them to unleash devastating attacks on your enemies. The game also features challenging bosses that will really test your skills, and a unique story that unravels as you play throughout the game. And so if you're looking for a unique hack and slash with a cool art style, I'd recommend this one as well. Alright, the next game on the list is Neon Abyss. And so you'll go on a quest for revenge after your family was killed in this roguelike neon-filled dungeon crawling shooter. And so the game is an action platformer where your character is going to find all kinds of different crazy weapons and guns. And so you'll face off against rooms that are full of enemies, there's mini bosses and full-on bosses, and you'll need to acquire items along the way to power up your character. And it is roguelike, so when you die, you'll go back to the beginning and need to go through these dungeons again. There's multiple different endings throughout the game, mini games and challenges that will switch up the pace. But if you're looking for a fun roguelike action platforming shooter, this one could be another great pickup. The next game on today's list is Monster Hunter Rise. Now, if you're not familiar with the Monster Hunter series, they're action RPGs where you'll take on massive monsters, either by yourself or with a team of players. And so in this game, you play as a hunter in Kimura Village that has the task of taking down these massive monsters that are ravaging the land. And so in this game, you'll travel to different locations with the goal of taking out these massive beasts. And so it is kind of a grindy task to take down these huge monsters. And to do this, you'll choose from a variety of weapons, each with their own unique skills and abilities and playstyle for your character. And as you kill these monsters, you'll acquire items that you can use to craft even better equipment to take on tougher, challenging monsters. And so I think the game has quite a high learning curve, but once you get through that, it's incredibly addicting. And if you dive into the multiplayer options, it can be a blast taking down these huge monsters as a team. So if you haven't played Monster Hunter before, this is a great place to jump into the series. And not only is the main base game on sale right now, but the huge Sunbreak expansion is also on sale as well. So if you already have the base game or want to try out the combination of both the base game and the DLC, you'll likely have 100 plus hours of gameplay on your hands in this addicting action RPG. It's worth checking out. Alright, the next game on today's list is Dreamscaper. And so this is a roguelike dungeon crawler where you play as a young girl who's recovering from a tragedy in her life that moves to a new town and is dealing with the challenges of having a new job, meeting new people, and dealing with grief in her life. And so it's a cool concept where during the day you're exploring this village and building relationships, and at night you go into your subconscious in the dream world to take on your nightmares. And so as you progress throughout the game and develop these relationships with characters around town, they'll give you different buffs that you can add to your character and unlock new weapons and abilities as well that you'll find in these dream dungeons. And so I like the concept of the game in general, where you're going back and forth between these two worlds, and also you're dealing with real problems that this girl is struggling with that I think most people are going to relate to. And so that's cool in the sense that it's not just a pure fantasy game or a pure sci-fi game or whatever the case might be. It has these real world elements, which I really enjoyed playing through. The gameplay is addicting. I think they do a great job on the roguelike elements, and there's some really cool, unique levels that you go through in this dream world as well. So if you're looking for a new roguelike dungeon crawler with a unique storyline and concept, I'd pick this one up as well. Alright, the next game on the list is Narita Boy. And so this is heavily inspired by 80s themes, and so a game creator has made a brand new system, Narita 1, and the best-selling game, Narita Boy, is taking the world by storm. But the game's code comes to life, and the enemy from the digital world comes into the real world and steals the creator's memories, and so you dive into the game to restore your memories and take on this evil threat. And so it really gave me a lot of Tron vibes where you're going into the game, but the gameplay itself is an action platforming Metroidvania. And so I really like the aesthetic of the game and the general story. It's really cool as it unravels. It has a unique pixel art style, but the combat is really fun and addicting, and it's a unique, cool world to explore. The game itself also isn't just action platforming. There's some other variety of stage types that you'll encounter throughout the game. I won't spoil what those are, but it does switch up the pace a bit and keep things interesting as you go. So I think if you like 80s sci-fi and action platformers, you'll like this game as well, and it'd be a great one to add to your library. Alright, the final game on today's list is Dying Light, the Definitive Edition. And so Dying Light is an open world zombie game that takes place in a quarantine zone in a Middle Eastern city, Haran, and you'll airdrop your way in and try and survive throughout this zombie apocalypse. And so the game itself is a combination of an open world RPG style game, similar to games like Skyrim or other zombie games like Dead Island, that also combines the RPG elements with really cool parkour style gameplay. And so your character will be able to run around, leap from buildings, climb up walls, jump over cars, and much more. And what I really like about the game too that makes it so addicting is that you'll level up your skills and abilities as you use them. So the more you attack enemies, the more powerful you'll get. The more you try and scale buildings and jump over obstacles, the better you'll get at parkour. And so the gameplay can become a lot of fun and really addicting as you explore and power up your character. There's a ton of side missions and side quests. This definitive edition comes with all the DLC as well. And another really cool fun element to the game is its challenging day-night cycle. And so the daytime is a little bit more calm, the zombies are a little bit more subdued, so you can really explore during that time. But on top of that, there's an intense night cycle when the zombies get a little bit more crazy. More powerful zombies and monsters come out at this time as well, so you really need to press your luck and hone your skills if you hope to survive in the night and make it to see another day. If you like zombie games and open world action RPGs, this is one of my favorite zombie games out there, and I definitely recommend it. But again, hopefully you enjoyed this list of 15 new games worth buying in this epic new eShop sale. If you did, be sure to hit that like button as it really helps out the channel. And if there's any other games I missed, let me know in the comments below. I'm always looking for great deals on new games and other fun games worth playing, so let me know in the comments below. And if you like videos like this on video games, board games, and everything nerdy, definitely check out one of our other videos here. And if you haven't done so yet, be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell notifications to get the latest updates of new nerd videos we put out, and so you don't miss out on any future sale videos and other great deals on games you might want to pick up. But with that said, thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you more soon.